All right, so this video is for my gospel and Christian bass players. See if this sounds about right. You've been playing for a little while, maybe even for your local church, that kind of a thing, and you've gotten pretty good at playing the bass. You know, you got the basics and everything down packed, and you're getting pretty good with playing the songs just like they are on the record. But the songs keep getting extended during the services, and they're doing what we call driving the songs, and sometimes you don't know what to do. Well, you're watching the right video, because in this video, I'm going to show you how to get good at driving songs, part 2. So stay tuned. All right, so if you guys checked the last video out, you know we started a deep dive into this idea of learning how to drive the song. So I won't spend too much time going over the foundational elements of that. If you want to know more about that, go back and watch my first video, Get Good at Driving Songs. It's not a part 1 or anything. Just go back and watch that. I'll link it at the end of this video so you guys can check it out. But anyway, jumping right into the song, I got a couple of tracks that I'm going to play today. I noticed your comments on the last video that I did. Some of you guys were asking me about how to play slow songs and you know, learning how to move around slow songs and that kind of thing. So I wanted to bring one that was really, really common, an old school hymn type song that we used to do. And I think this will kind of help give you some clarity in this area. So the song that I'm going to be playing is in the key of E flat. So we're going to jump right into it. All right, so as you can hear, that song is pretty straightforward. Now, this would be the type of song that you would hear in church, and it's like, okay, I got the meat and potatoes of this song, so what in the world do I do with this song? Now, this is one of those songs, yeah, it's gonna, when I say this type of song will drive, and I feel like this is what some of you guys asked me about in the last video, well, what do I do with a song like this? And let's say, it will eventually build as far as the drums and the music and everything, but you're not going to hear that in this track. But in a real life scenario, that's pretty much all the song is doing. It's very repetitive. You're doing the same chord changes over and over again. Outside of playing that, how do I make this move a little bit more? So I want to see if I can answer that for you guys today. So a way that I would approach a song like this, let's just say if we're on this song and, you know, we've played it a few rounds and I want to start moving around in the song. First things first, I'm going to always play the foundational part first. I never want to come out swinging, as I said on the last video, and I always want to pace myself in what I play. But if this is one of those songs, maybe like Altar Call or something like that, you'll get a song like that that is very repetitive and you're playing it for a while, or they're praying for people, that kind of thing. So you want to know what to do, but also not take away from the moment that's happening, because we still want to be sensitive. All right, so here's some things I would probably do after a while. All right, so we've already been in the song for a while. So I'm going to start moving. So some of the things that you're hearing me doing as I'm moving around, so I might do something like we know if we're going from the 1 to the 3, I might walk up from that 2, boom. Instead of going straight to my 3, I might walk up to the 3, or I can walk down to the 3 from my 5. 1. Right? I can go 5, 4, 3, or I can go chromatic down from my 5 to the 3. So 1. That's another way we can get to that 3. So just finding simple ways to get to the next chord that's coming up. So 1, 5, down to the 3, to the 6. So now that the progression is going 1, 3, 6, 3, 6, 2. That's the progression. 1. I'm gonna do it fast. 1, 3, 6, 3, 6 to the 2, 2. Stay on the 2, 2 to the 5, 6, 7, and then we'll stay there for now. That's the first half of the song. All right, so now, what I want to do, I'm going to lead into those different moves. I might not lead into every one of them, but as I'm trying to make this bass line come alive a little bit more, I've been here for a while. I don't want to get bored with it. I don't want to bore anybody with my bass line. I do want it to move, but I don't want it to take away from the song. So again, we're going 1. Maybe one round I'll go from the 2 to the 3. 1. The 6. Now we can do that same chromatic walk to the 3 and to the 6. Now the thing I like to stay away from is playing the same type of patterns over and over again. So if I'm going 1, you can do that, but after a while that'll start to get repetitive. So we're going 1 to the 3 to the 6, straight to the 6. Now we go. You see what I'm doing? So now I'm breaking it up so it feels like I'm doing something different as opposed to playing this. I could technically do all of those moves, but at some point it'll start sounding like I'm playing the same stuff every time I go to a different chord, and I don't want that. So what I'll do is break up the rhythms of, even if I'm doing the same type of move, I'll break up the rhythms of how I get there. So you see what I did there? So I went 1. And I'm using my ghost notes too. 1. Right? Walk down. And another thing I can do when I do that walk down, if it's later in the song, I'll use that lower B string, like way later in the song. Right? So we go chromatic down to that G. And then we go chromatic down from E flat all the way to that C. So this is what it sound like. To the 6. And that gets me right into that 2. So those little walks and climb downs and that kind of, I don't know what you would call it technically, but those little walks and working your way down on that low end feels really good in the context of the song when you're doing that. So let's try it in the context of the song here. Here we go. Fall down. And that's another thing that we can do. So 2, 5, flat 7, 2. See, understanding the type of chord that we're on, and that's gonna require you guys to kind of get familiar with those chords. And when I'm talking about getting familiar with the chords, I'm not talking you got to know every single chord on the fretboard. Getting familiar with the major chord functions. So if I understand, 1 This song is in a major key. 1 is major, 2 is minor, 3 is minor, 4 is major, 5 is major, 6 is minor, 7 is diminished, and back to 1, that kind of thing. So understanding the major chord function is something you can kind of look up on your own time, but getting familiar with the major chord functions, and then understanding as well that we can substitute that 2, which is generally a minor triad, 1, minor third, 5, flat 7, back to the 1. I understand as well when you listen to the chords, and it always goes back to listening. When you listen to the chords, you can hear that there's a dominant chord over that 2. Oftentimes in church, you'll hear those dominant 2 chords. So what that sounds like is, and we have an F dominant, so I can play around with that. Or I can switch back and forth between, you can get away with either a minor type of move or a dominant type of move. Let me show you what I'm talking about in context. Breaking it up. Now we go to the dominant. Right? So the first one was minor. Right? Going to that 5. So you got a minor 2 thing to that dominant 2, you to that 5. Right? So now what I did is I stayed just straight root note on that minor, but when I went to that dominant chord, which is the second chord in that, I went I basically played that chord backwards. So 1, 3, 5 octave, right? Now I got that octave 3 because that's the same as playing. So understanding some of the things that I can use around those different chords that I'm hearing. And it's all about you going back to the other lesson about driving. You got to start listening to these songs if you hadn't already done that. And then you're able to pull out some of these little things. Now, we're not doing this all over the song. Keep in mind when I'm talking about the stuff that we're doing here, we've been here for a while, and I'm trying to find some other ways that I can move around these songs. Now, understanding just the basic level of what my chords are and how I can move around, that gives me options of things that I can play when I want to move around. Here we go. Walk. Stay there on the minor. Dominant. You don't have to do that. It's just an option. To the 7, 3, 6, 3, 6. Okay. All right. So these moves that I'm playing is something that's very common in black or gospel church. So a lot of people have trouble navigating around that 7, 3, 6 move. That thank you, Lord. That 7, 3, 6. So what we can do over that 7 to the 3, that 3 is another dominant chord in that particular move. So understand there's the dominant chord. It's that G dominant. So I understand it spell. I can literally play a major triad. And if I want to make it dominant, I can add that flat 7 in there. So that's another way I can do it. Right? So here it is in context, the little turnaround, and I'll play that. And all that is, again, that G major. Because I understand that major triad works over that dominant chord. It's just little subtle things you can do that's already in your arsenal, but you're probably not pulling them out because you don't know you can use them. Let me show you in context what that sounds like. Here we go. Watch your rhythm. Right? And so all we did there, I just changed my rhythm up of how, instead of going, change the rhythm. And I can get out of that with. So even when I'm playing that G, and so you can work on different ways of getting in and out of chords by simply recognizing what your hand is already kind of hovering over and what sounds right in the context of the song. So all I did there is played that like a C minor pentatonic. Same thing. Down to that C, 3, 6, and then you do your walk. So these are just some little subtle things that you can do over a slow song to make it move a little bit differently. Of course, we can get way deeper into this lesson, but I'll save that for the next lesson. So I appreciate you guys. If you're enjoying this, be sure to leave a comment below. Let me know you're enjoying it, and I will continue this series. We're probably going to continue this series anyway, but we're going to dig even deeper into learning how to drive songs. I just wanted to touch this slow song. I know this didn't feel like your typical drive, but if you start applying some of these concepts that I talked to you about today, you'll see they're going to make a world of difference in your understanding of what to do, and you'll know how to better drive a song. So I'll see you guys on the next lesson. Again, I'm Jermaine Morgan. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'm out. Peace.